Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Donnelly.
And I'm Dr. Hinson.
And we're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research, and today we're going to be recapping the entire second season of Handmaid's Tale for you. Essentially what we view this video as is the primer of everything you need to know going into season 3.
Correct.
We have done videos, episode by episode videos for both season 1 and season 2. We've also done a season 1 recap.
Links below.
So if you are kind of diving in at season 3, welcome to the madhouse.
Good luck.
And
we're here to help you.
We're here to help. So for those of you guys who we haven't met before, we both have PhDs in social science. My particular expertise is women and religion.
And my expertise is imprisonment narratives.
So when you combine with our powers combined, we have a lot to say about a lot of things in Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale is the perfect intersection of all of our most interesting parts of research.
And we definitely pick up on things that other recappers don't pick up on. And we spend a lot of time talking about on things that other people may not care about.
I know. Who wants to, you guys watched the episode, who wants to watch a 40-minute video, no offense I guess to people that do, that recaps the video you just watched? We dig deeper.
Instead, what you're going to hear from me is a 5-minute analysis on the importance of Eden's Bible, things like that. So, essentially what happens, what you need to know about season 2,
yes,
if you haven't seen it, is that everything gets so much worse, in the words of Karen Kilgariff. And we're introduced to a really important character named Eden, who becomes a real clutch piece of this whole narrative. Serena continues to unravel. June escapes, goes back, escapes, maybe goes back, we don't know.
There's lots of things happening with June's imprisonment and how she escapes the first time when her boyfriend Nick helps her, and then escapes the second time when her Martha Rita helps her. Lots of people love June and want to get her the HE double hockey sticks out of Gilead, and Homegirl keeps coming back.
The finale of season 2 is super controversial. We are on the side of annoyance, as that we don't see it as part of her character, but there are many people who do. If you hit up our review of the end of the end of the second season, you will see lots of discussion in our comment section. We'd love for you to join it, no matter when you're coming with us. The other main theme is that we spend a lot of time in the colonies.
We do, and
a lot of time talking about what it means to be a woman in Gilead.
And what shades of that look like for the different roles that women enact. So from Serena's perspective, we get what it's like to be a wife and how she is restricted by the definitions of that role, even though she's the one that made that role.
Created it.
In the first place. We don't get a lot into the Marthas, although Dr. Donnelly has a great video on why they're called Marthas, so that is available in our Handmaid's Tale playlist as well. We don't get a lot into them. Obviously, we spend a lot of time about what it means to be a handmaid, particularly in different households. So what it means to be a handmaid in the Waterford household for June is a particular kettle of fish that's very different from other women. But then why women are sent to the colonies, because they are unwomen, we learn. So lots of reasons why you become an unwoman in the dear old state of Gilead, but predominantly we follow Rory Gilmore with her character name of Emily. And Janine, who shows up in the colonies as well, our blessed one-eyed Janine, to talk about different perceptions of survival of imprisonment, honestly, is what happens in the colonies as they're digging irradiated soil, and what it means to have compassion and love, and to find that in any situation, which is another theme of this season.
We also learn that the rest of the world hates Gilead as much as us viewers do.
We go to Canada.
We go to Canada, where the commander tries to have a diplomatic visit
liaison
that is cut short when the letters from season 1 that are women's voices of the handmaid experience, are released into the public by June's husband Luke,
given to him by her boyfriend Nick. Because June, he takes them, the letters from June, after she had a bad couple of days and she tried to destroy them. Nick saves them and then says, hey, you know what, I'm going to Canada.
And I'm going to make sure these get to Luke.
Put these in my suitcase.
And so they have no relationship with the Canadian government anymore. We're hearing that there's increased sanctions from other countries. So this is going to get interesting.
Season 3. We don't know. We didn't deal with any of this in the finale, which was another bugaboo of ours. So we don't know what's going on with Luke and Moira in Canada, what's going on with the resistance around Gilead, and all of these sanctions and international political machinations. We don't know.
And speaking of Luke, we also know that Hannah, Luke and June's daughter, is actually, is in a house with a Martha who very clearly loves her.
Yes. Alive and well and being looked after.
And being loved.
Yes.
And so that's at least she'll still be raised in Gilead, which is just an utter trash heap from top to bottom, but at least in the middle of it, she's getting kindness.
Yes, which was an important thing for our June to find out, even though at the end she decides she cannot abandon her daughter to Gilead and she's going to go back for Hannah. At least she knows that Hannah's being looked after.
Indeed. So the really important religious themes are that they still don't know what they're talking about.
Their sense of theology is
crap.
Yes.
So it's still a really hyper fundamentalist cult that is entirely built on patriarchal theology that is wonky. They also do a whole lot of cherry picking, which is the kind of the phrase that we use of people who take verses out of scripture completely out of their context. We have a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of problems. The real issue that they play the most with is this really hypocritical version of women that in modern culture we refer to as purity culture, which is the belief that women are entirely in charge of the purity of the group, the sexual, emotional, physical, spiritual, etc. So this is where we get things like the dress codes at Christian schools are much harsher to girls than boys, the double standards, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I spoke, in our episode that this covers, I spoke fairly extensively on what purity culture means and what watching this one episode in which child brides are introduced how that specifically communicates to a lot of people who were raised in evangelical purity culture. So if that's something that you'd like to explore, make sure it's episode 5, part 2.
Yes. And episode 5, part 1 really is the summation of the imprisonment narratives. So the big focus that we start with in the beginning of the show that they carry throughout the whole thing is the concept between freedom to and freedom from. And Gilead is framed by our beloved Aunt Lydia as freedom from for women in terms of choice, agency. But they frame it in their theocratic language in terms of protecting women. Freedom from abuse and illness and bad treatment by men, which is just a lie because they get treated like crap all the time. And freedom too is the freedom to choose your life and your path and who you love and the relationships you have. So that is the constant battle. That is the psychological imprisonment of Gilead. The physical imprisonment we see, and it's not difficult. They're literally prisoners, and we use that language. June starts to use that language throughout the season to talk about the handmaids as prisoners. And their resistance in terms of starting to call each other by their first names was a big part of resistance, and reclaiming individual identity over collective identity as being handmaids and women. They are then June and Emily and Janine and individual people. So that's pretty much it from the imprisonment side of things.
We unpacked clearly so much more. There's lots of ranting in our recaps because we are angered by this. And this grieves us in a lot of ways because while this is not our personal narrative in the United States, it is certainly shades of a narrative of women around the world in all sorts of cultures and countries where they are devalued. And so while we both eagerly await the season 3, we're also incredibly nervous.
What's gonna happen? We don't know.
These are hard sits, y'all. These are hard sits.
If you know nothing else about The Handmaid's Tale and you're watching this video, practice some self-care while you're doing it. It is not an easy thing to watch or easy concepts to digest.
But we love talking about all of those concepts. And so if you don't want to be watching it alone, we'd love to be watching it with you. So that wraps up season 2. I'm Dr. Donnelly.
I'm Dr. Hinson.
We're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research, and we'll see you in season 3.
Bye.